Hello and welcome back to Break Panel Sports. I'm John, joined alongside Joel. Yes, that John. Yes, that
How's
Joel.
up?
Back at it again. Joel, we got a lot of topics today. Actually, just
Oh
three of
yeah.
them, like our usual. But they're big time. There's been a lot of rumblings, stirrings in the NFL world with just 3 weeks left to go in the season, and there is more drama than ever, to be honest with you. But Joel, first off, how we doing?
Doing all right. I mean, Christmas is around the corner. My
It
Christmas shopping
is.
is done. I don't know about you, but I mean,
My
I wrapped up
wrapping just completed today.
awesome. There you go.
Just completed today. Just finished it all up. Really, really weird stuff, but I got it done. I'm the
You
guy.
got it
I
done.
use too much paper, so my wrapping is not very good. It's not very tight, not tidy, not neat. I didn't get the craft gene. I did not get that at all. I don't know how to really. I don't know. Find. I just put a bunch of paper over it and like, hey, there's your present. Just be
Like
glad that you
like
got
uh
something.
like most young adults, I just had my mom do it for me. Like on
Oh, you
vacation.
did? Okay, yeah. This is
Yeah.
this is my first year of doing it myself. I wanted to do it
Oh,
myself.
okay.
I was like, you know what? It's time. I'm gonna wrap these guys. Also, there are presents for mother in there, so I had to, can't really have mom
Oh,
wrap her own
okay. Yeah,
presents.
that makes sense.
Can't really do that. Okay. I won't expose what I got just in case you're listening. So, you never know. But yeah, happy holidays to all. Merry happy. You know what that's from. Shout out community. Yeah, everything, whatever you celebrate, let's enjoy it. It's a great weekend coming up. December 20th is the date. Couple few days coming up great. But someone who got a lump of coal in their stocking, and that's what we're going to talk a lot about coal today. A lot of just bad things happening. A lot of firings. Okay? Right ahead of the holidays. Brandon Staley gone as the head coach of the Chargers. That happened about a week ago. But we definitely wanted to talk about the Chargers as a whole. So the Chargers will be looking for a new head coach come this offseason, and there's been rumors of William Belichick. There's been rumors of whoever, right, who may take over that head coaching job over there in Los Angeles. They should have stayed in San Diego, but that's besides the point. Joel, Brandon Staley out as the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. How are we feeling?
I didn't think it was that bad. I'm just joking with you. Okay.
Yeah, he was okay.
I mean, he wasn't that bad. No, that man, he sucked. I'm sorry. Like,
Straight
listen,
up.
he's one of those guys where it's like you're a really good coordinator. I
Yep.
think you're a pretty good college coach. I think you're good in Division 2. I think you're good at those.
Division
Man, I
two.
don't I don't know how he got this job with the Chargers initially. Like, don't get me wrong. I remember you know, looking at the past, he was the defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. This was back when their defense was like literally like one of the most stacked we have ever seen
Yeah.
ever in a defense.
It's
So it's
phenomenal.
like okay, like, all right, you want to hire the coordinator. I get it, because they performed really well. At least this is just for me. The second I saw that a defensive coordinator was going to be the head coach of this offensive packed Chargers team, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work. Because, like, usually you would think, oh, this could be a it really doesn't work all the time. Like, I feel like defensive coordinators as a whole struggle a little bit when it comes to being the head coach. A little
They
bit.
have. They have.
I'm not saying it's never happened, but defensive coordinators as a whole, they don't typically do all that well when it comes to head coaching jobs. And Brandon Staley is no different. I said in the beginning of the year, as far as like people that I thought like, projections as like way too early, who's going to be in like the hot seat or whatever. Brandon Staley was number one comfortably for me. Very comfortably was number one because I thought he should have been fired last year. I
Yeah.
know I'm not the only one who thought that. And if it was me, I would have fired him after that um Jaguars debacle that happened earlier in the year. When
The
they came
playoff
back
game
by what?
28-0. They came back. Yeah.
Oh my god! Like, and seeing the Raiders, they put up what 63 points.
63.
One
You thought
one
the
of the things
Dolphins
about
had a
that
great offense. Look at Aiden O'Connell.
one of the things about that game that I just hated was Austin Eckler. I don't know if you saw this or not. When he got the first down and was pointing,
Yes.
he was
You know
pointing
what
to
was
his first
funny? You
down.
know what's funny about that? You saw him do it, but you kind of saw him regret it. It's like he did it out of just habit. He put the first down, like put his arm down. He was like, "Oh, wait. I shouldn't have did that." That was
Okay,
yeah, that was pretty bad.
I didn't realize that we're down by 63 right now.
Yeah, you got to give your team some momentum, to get back in the game. I mean, but when you're going against such a great quarterback like Aiden O'Connell, it's hard to deal with. It's really hard. No, that Raiders
That Raiders
offense
team
is
sucks
they
too. Oh
have
my
no
god.
business putting up 63 points on anybody,
I'm sorry.
let alone a former defensive coordinator. I would say in the modern NFL, defensive coordinator struggle. It used to be just defensive coordinator succeeded, right? You had the that Bill Belichick guy who's pretty okay in terms of his coaching career, defensive
Yeah,
coordinator, won a Super Bowl, but he got hired when it was more of a defensive league. It was a defensive league for a long time, and
it's
now
offense all day now.
I think you look at it right. Look at the Cardinals and the Colts, obviously different rosters. Jonathan Gannon, Shane Steichen. That Eagles team was known for more what? Its defense, but the head coach of the Cardinals, I think they got a good thing going on there, but it's not as successful as what the Colts are doing with Steichen right now. So it's very different. It's a lot of different stuff going on down there.
How about because you know how different it is? Like Shane Steichen right now, like it's not crazy to put him in the race for coach of the year. I don't
Right.
think it's crazy to put. I don't think it's crazy for. Not only that, you lost your top pick quarterback, and you're working with a backup,
Yeah,
and the Colts can still make the playoffs. Like they can still
they
very
can.
well make the playoffs.
They can win the
Like they're making.
division.
Yeah, they can win the division. Like exactly. Like they're on a pretty good run with a backup quarterback, and you have like injuries all. Jonathan Taylor is not healthy. Like
Yeah,
this team is not bad. It's
they're not bad
really
at all.
not.
That's a good Colts team. I mean, they have probably the most underrated.
I think they're a very good coached team.
They are.
That
I mean,
that's how I feel.
they are. Now wait until they actually have a healthy roster. They also have a top 5 defensive line in the entire NFL. I think
Yeah.
I overheard people talking one day. They said, "Yeah, that after the Steelers game, they said, yeah, that Colts defense really isn't all that." And I'm like, "Okay, you guys don't watch football. You guys don't watch the games because this is like such a great defensive line." And they're banged up. I'd say the corners could probably they'll probably look to corners in the offseason, add a few more guys in there. I mean, Julian Blackmon's a stud at safety. That's a good defense. They held the Steel. Obviously, the Steelers don't have a great offense, but you looked at the Cleveland game, you looked at some other games where the Colts gave up a lot of points, but they're a pretty good defensive squad. They're a well-rounded team. Just got to get healthy. But kind of go back to these Chargers, right? So where do they go? What do they do? You've got one of the best quarterback prospects to come out in a while, Justin Herbert, who's really performed and really exceeded expectations even as a first-round pick. And when you have the joke of Justin Herbert should be doing more for this team, how could you let Quentin Johnston drop that pass, right? Justin Herbert, he deserves better. Okay, he just deserves better, so much better. And now he's locked in. He can't really do much about it. What did the Chargers do from here? Where did they go? Maybe head coaching wise. What's the game plan to fix this team? Because this should be a team that's that has a chance to win a Super Bowl year in and year out.
I mean, this is the most favorable coaching job in the entire NFL right now.
Yeah,
I was saying, like, what was it last year when Sean Payton was like, there was a discussion that, he wanted to get back into coaching and everything like that. And then obviously the Broncos trade happened, right? But before that happened, I think it's not, he wanted that Chargers job so badly. I think there are so many young coaches or young coordinators and no matter who you were, everyone wanted this job because there are so many. This Chargers team is loaded in weapons from top to bottom. It's like, no, as long as you have a capable head coach, this team could make the playoffs every year. This team could potentially like compete for the division.
yeah.
It could happen. Could very well happen. And it's like, that's why we're talking about Brandon Staley not being on a team anymore, because how is this not happening? What are they now? 5-9, 5-8? What are they like?
Not good.
That's do you realize that they actually have a similar record to like the Giants, the Jets, teams that have been struggling all year? Like
Yeah.
that,
The teams that don't have quarterbacks, teams that have some of the
how?
worst quarterback situations in the NFL, you're the same
How
as
does
those
this
teams.
happen? It
They do
doesn't
play
happen.
tough division, especially this year. But yeah, they should be a lot better. They shouldn't be losing to the Raiders the way that they lose like that. Terrible.
It's just it's horrible, man. It's horrible to see this. And Brandon Staley, listen, do I think he can get another head coach or not head coaching job, a coaching job? If Nathaniel Hackett was able to get a coaching job, I think he can as well. So
Yeah, he
I
can.
think he's gonna get someone. Yeah, I think he's gonna get some job somewhere in the league. I don't think
Josh
he's
McDaniel got
necessarily
hired,
leaving. Yeah.
so
So
it's
it's
possible.
like I don't see him necessarily going anywhere in the league, but you look at this team as a whole, I think it's actually harder for you to mess this up than it is for you to be successful.
Yeah.
At least that's how I view it.
Yeah, I mean, this is also a team that's just been riddled with injuries year in and year out. So they're
Mhm.
going to be in a tough spot. They got a great quarterback though. They can rise above some of that stuff. Slater, they need to get him back. Mike Williams, ACL tear, but they have had players. Josh Palmer just came back. Jalen Guyton's not terrible. They've got a good tight end room. The defense has been. They have Khalil Mack, right? This isn't the worst roster in the NFL by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't know where they're going to go. I don't know where Brandon Staley's going to go. Here's the thing. It's looking like we're going to have closer to double digit coaching openings than not. So maybe Brandon Staley does get another head coaching job. Maybe the Carolina Panthers give that guy a phone call. We'll see. I don't think he. I don't think he does. I think the teams would rather go for coordinators, maybe promote in house. But if Hugh Jackson got as many chances, if Adam Gase got as many chances, maybe Brandon Staley's got one more chance in him. But we'll see. It's just based off experience alone. Some teams just do that because they think I can fix him. And if you ever have to say I can fix blank, you probably can't fix
You
it.
probably can't.
You probably can't fix it. One thing that I do think can very much get fixed, the Philadelphia Eagles. They have been struggling as of late, a 3-game winning streak. Drew Lock just absolutely had a phenomenal outing, a great story on Monday Night
Good for
Football.
him.
Great for him. Great for Drew Lock. And awful for Philadelphia fans because they needed to win that Monday night game. I will say the production of that game, everything about it, and the storytelling, and Lisa Salter, the way that she interviewed Drew Lock after the game, it was probably one of the more entertaining. It was the most entertaining Monday Night Football game of the season. Just the way everything was made, the game itself, it was the best Monday Night Football game of the season, and maybe even of the past few years. I know I might be stretching it a bit, but that was just a phenomenal game, right? But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're going to talk about these Philadelphia Eagles, who we were talking about. Are they contenders? Are they pretenders? Are they here? Should we care? Right? Are they still a threat? They're going to probably be the 5 seed, unless if Dallas does Dallas things. They have the Eagles, they have the Giants, and Cardinals on their schedule, so they should win the last 3 games of the season, unless if Tommy DeVito does some Tommy DeVito things. But these Philadelphia Eagles, right? Obviously, Jalen Hurts had an illness before the game, so he was not 100%. This team got blown out by San Francisco, blown out by Dallas, and then just lost this tight one to Seattle. It has been tough for Philadelphia. But Joel, my question to you is: are they going to be okay? That's not. I'm not even asking you. Are they going to go still win the Super Bowl? Are they still going to make the NFC Championship? Are they going to be okay when it comes to potentially winning the division, getting into the playoff?
No, no, and I'm worried about this team. I'm gonna be honest with you. Now, everyone knows, I'm a Giants fan. Whatever,
Right.
I hate Philly, all this stuff. I'm worried about this team because when your quarterback, okay, not forget the team. When your quarterback, Jalen Hurts, who is someone who's been in contention for MVP, someone who's constantly been in contention for, once he got, his money, it was like, oh yeah, he totally deserves it. He does everything for the Eagles. He's literally
Yeah.
everything. The tush push is nothing without him. It's because he could squat all this weight. He does this, blah, blah, blah. When your quarterback does not show confidence in the game, where like we're literally what was it that like all the way until Sunday we had no clue if he was even gonna play.
Yeah, we were
We had
watching
no
Marcus
clue.
Mariota highlights.
Yeah, because it's like Marcus Mariota legit has a shot to play.
Yeah.
Like he seriously may not play. It's like, what is going on here? And everyone wants to say like, oh, he has an illness. Yeah, whatever it may be. I didn't really look too much into the illness. All I saw that they're thinking he's sick or something like that. I'm sorry. I'm looking at this and I'm like, I don't buy it. Maybe it's just me. I don't buy it. You
You didn't
lost
buy
what,
the
three straight?
illness. You didn't buy him flying
Well,
separate with the
okay.
team.
Could he be sick? Sure. Yeah, he could be sick. I don't think he's like crazy sick that he can't play. I don't think that's the case. I think once this 49ers loss happened like 3 weeks ago, I think that just started the whole downward spiral where it's and you see like this defense that should be very good. I'm sorry, but maybe it's just me, and you could come at me for that. This defense has been incredibly mid. They have been
Yeah.
incredibly mid. I look at some of these guys that everyone was saying is going to be the top rated, defensive tackle, the top rated DBs. James Bradbury, a former Giant, has been getting cooked these
He has been.
past few weeks. I look at Darius Slay, some of the plays that he's making. question how he's getting lost on some of these drives. There's a couple plays where I'm looking at it and I'm just like, and this is not the team that we've been watching like the first 11 weeks of the year. It's not the same team. And I think it all started with that quarterback.
Here's the
And
thing. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. I don't mean to cut you off.
good.
I'm going to highly disagree that that was the start of everything. It was not. So let's take a look at what the Eagles did. You talked about those first 11 weeks of the season, right? I'm going to take you back to the beginning of it all, right? The beginning of it all. They started their season out 5-point win against New England. This team hasn't been beating teams. They went to overtime with the Commanders. They lost to the Jets of all. They lost to Zach Wilson. They played the Commanders again, only won by a touchdown. Their Dallas win was only by 5. I don't know how they lost to the Jets. I don't get that either. Kansas City, that was only a 4-point game. But I think it really started in Buffalo when they won the overtime game. And Jalen Hurts does an interview where he's like, "I'm not happy. We lost. We stink. We need to do better." And then boom, 2 losses back to back by blowout. So they've won a lot of 1-score games. They haven't been good. I saw this Jalen Hurts. I love Jalen Hurts as a player, as a inspiration a lot of the time.
Former Sooner, right?
Former Sooner, and I'm getting
That's
to
your
that.
guy.
I'm getting to that at Oklahoma. So, one, he's had a fumbling problem all throughout his college career, and it's been showing up as of late. The turnovers have been very high, and a lot of people admire Jalen Hurts for his style of leadership, right? His form of just being someone who's never satisfied. He's never happy. He's not going to show any emotion until the Birds go out and win a Super Bowl, right? It's never going to happen. He did the same thing at Alabama. He did the same thing for Oklahoma. I remember against Houston, the first game of the year. Oklahoma wins by 30. Sure, they didn't start off great, but he throws for almost 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. And they talked to him after the game. They said, "Jalen, why are you not smiling?" He says,
"We need to be better.
We got to clean things up. We got to do all these things. We got to do better. We got to do better." And I think part of it, and yes, we have to do better, but a lot of the time I've never seen Jalen lead the doing better. I feel like it's a lot of blaming his teammates. He says, "Oh, our corners didn't do this. Our defensive line didn't do this." Jalen, you turned the ball over 3 times that game. We have to fix that, because that would a lot of the time it's Jalen Hurts turns the ball over, puts his team in the hole, then they come back and say, we got to do better. And I think there just needs to be a tad more accountability for Jalen to say, I need to be more into the game rather than we. Obviously, it's a team, but I think Jalen Hurts' leadership style, I think it doesn't work when it comes to winning it all. When that's what you're relying on.
That.
I don't think it works. It didn't work at OU. It's worked in Alabama, but that's Alabama. And obviously the Eagles got to the Super Bowl. I think they're tired of it in Philly. When your corners don't play well with that style, right? So it works for maybe himself, but that needs to be more of a him thing, I think. I'm not a huge fan of his leadership style.
I don't know if a lot of people have like thought about this narrative. It's something that like came into like my mind when you have like the dark room thoughts where like you're thinking about everything. Yes, it was one of those things where I was like, listen, you got to keep in mind how much Philly fans loved Carson Wentz when he was like at his peak. Okay, I'm not saying like, listen, I know he got injured and all that stuff happened. Like, I'm saying prior to his injury,
his first couple years in the league, his MVP, he's almost MVP season.
He was MVP caliber. I mean, all this happened, and they win the Super Bowl. All of a sudden, do you remember when Jalen Hurts got drafted at Philadelphia? How was that reaction?
I think a lot of people weren't really high on Jalen Hurts in the first place, just out of his arm talent.
But for Philly fans, especially, they didn't. Why are we taking a quarterback in the second round?
Yes.
Why do we? Yes. Why? What? I just don't. And now here's the thing. Obviously, they ended up winning and everything like that. But I think there are some Philly fans out there, and regardless if they want to admit it or not, they look at this team and they look at Jalen Hurts doing well. But when he doesn't do well, it's like, man, if Carson Wentz didn't get hurt, my God, he would not have made that throw. Man, he would not have done that. Man, he wouldn't have done this. That's why I feel like I'm looking at them like, dang, like, is it something where it's just like that narrative that they can't get out of their head of just like that constant comparison of peak Carson Wentz that is just that constant comparison where it's like, well, Carson wouldn't have done that. well, this wouldn't have happened. Well, if he
Right.
didn't get hurt, we wouldn't even be on the situation, and we got to deal with this guy and run the ball all these million times. And we got to see AJ Brown, complain on the sidelines that he's not getting the ball enough because Jalen can't. He just can't throw it to him. He has to
Right.
run. He has to rely on his legs majority of the time, which Carson really didn't do all that much. That's why I feel like yeah, we blame Jalen Hurts. We look at Jalen Hurts and be like, okay, yeah, I don't like this about his game. I don't like this about his character. I don't really think they wanted him to begin with. I just don't think they did.
But it worked. They got to a Super Bowl,
I,
and
I know, I
we
know.
cannot deny that it has worked.
I'm not saying that it didn't work or anything like that. I'm just saying it worked that way because they now developed a system to that way.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? Because
Yes.
it become like a ran league, a quarterback, a dual threat quarterback league.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, he's good. I like him. He's fine. But I like this man was a former MVP and we just ditched him out like he was nothing.
Yeah.
I just feel like they had an emotional attachment to him is what I'm trying to get at.
They did, and I mean, we saw Carson get more chances in the league, and he clearly did not have enough
But that was
talent.
post injury though.
It
Like, come
was
on.
post, yes, it was post injury, but I mean, Carson Wentz is not. I think a lot. Like, if you're a Philly fan, you're thinking, "Oh man, I wish we had Carson back." I think you're looking at it with a little too much of rose-colored glasses. There might be a lot of other reasons why you may like Carson Wentz more than Jalen Hurts. You don't want to get into, but I think he was kind of a flash in the pan kind of guy. I mean, for a lot longer than usual, but his prime, obviously, again, the injury was the injury, yes, but we've seen quarterbacks tear their ACL and do just fine. He was kind of relying on his legs. Carson Wentz's mechanics weren't that good. He had happy feet a lot of the time. He never pointed his toes the right way and everything like that. He just never set his feet right and never was able to fix that because he was constantly thinking to run. Jalen, I do agree about Jalen, though, that this offense is very catered towards him. I don't think Jalen Hurts would be this
Yes.
good in 90% of other offenses. I also don't think Carson Wentz would have been good in 90% of other offenses. Just kind of the nature of the quarterback, in my opinion. Like, I don't think Brock Purdy's good in 90% of offenses, but the Eagles have made it work. A lot of teams have made it work. And the thing is, now Jalen Hurts, I think his game is great. In terms of on-field leadership, he's great. But I think I'm more just saying I think this team wants to see him get fired up a little bit more often than not. That's part of it. He doesn't really show a lot of that. I think teams that have that energy, even Bill Belichick was big on guys showing energy when something happened. It's like your teammate just helped, like your teammate just did this. Like let's be excited about it.
Mm.
Your own lineman made a good block. Let's be excited about it. Instead of Jalen Hurts running into the end zone, handing the ball to the official. It's not that league anymore. That's not how you win. It's just not that. It's just an energy based league, to me. But yeah, I'm not saying I don't think the Eagles should make a change at quarterback anytime soon either. I think it's fine. Jalen Hurts is still a young quarterback who has plenty of room to grow.
But Jalen Hurts is the one that has to change, is what you're trying to say. I feel
I
like,
think I think a bit, yeah. I don't think the
yeah,
style of how he wants this team to get better is work. I mean, look at Nick Sirianni and the way that he coaches and the way that Jalen Hurts leads his team. Nick
they're
Sirianni,
different people.
it's
They're
it's
different people.
it's they're very different people, and I think you need that difference of view. But Jalen kind of, I think for a lot of people and a lot of players, and this is more speculation. I think it's getting kind of corny at this point for a lot of these guys. It's like, okay, like we lost. I know we have to be better, yes, but we just beat this team by 30. Can we be excited about that? I think a lot of guys. I think if Jalen Hurts walked into a receiver room after this team won by 30, AJ Brown catches 2 touchdowns, Devonta Smith has 100 yards, and if Jalen walks in that room and says, "Hey guys, we gotta run our routes better in this situation," I'm like, what do we do? Can we just celebrate what we did first and then go back and look at this? Can we kind of let things marinate a little bit more? This team needs a little bit more. I think that's why these next 3 games are so important. This team needs that time to figure everything out. Okay, what's been going wrong? How have things been bad? And they have great opportunities against 2 of the worst teams in the league. Sorry, Joel, but the Giants and the Cardinals up next here for the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll see what happens. So let's get back to the New York Jets this time around. We're not traveling too far from Philadelphia. We have a 30-0 game, the Jets and the Dolphins. I don't even think the score matters, but yes, it does at the same time. We didn't think the Jets were going to win this game. Nobody did.
No,
And it didn't really matter. The Jets season was basically over. They do have the Commanders, Browns, and Patriots left, but that was an embarrassing game against the Miami Dolphins. Trevor Siemian is back. Are we happy? Are we happy, guys? No.
who the
Zach
hell
Wilson
cares?
Zach Wilson dealing with a concussion now. his mother said that he ignored he hid his symptoms to try to keep playing. So that's not always good for Zach Wilson. But I think it's just such a tough situation for the Jets. And Zach Wilson being hurt, not good. You want to see what you still have out of your quarterback in the final 3 games of the season. Obviously, you want to see his health get back as great as possible. You don't want to see Trevor Siemian in because he's kind of your back. I mean, obviously, it didn't work out well against Miami. Brees Hall has not played very well as of the last few games, and this Dolphins offense just completely ran all over you and did whatever they wanted. Tua was slinging it, only had three completions in this game. And it was just Mike White made an appearance, okay, just to kind of laugh at Jets fans a little bit. Joel, these Jets are a mess. There's no two ways to put it. Aaron Rodgers not coming back this season. Oh my goodness, are we surprised? He was cleared to practice. He caught a pick in practice, but I don't know. So
Uh,
Joel, the New York Jets.
okay, did anybody actually think Aaron Rodgers was going to come back?
I didn't. I didn't
I
know.
like
I mean, a lot of
like
Jets fans. So I talked to Jets fans, and they said he was coming back. A lot of Jets fans
see,
do think he was coming back
he,
if the Jets
and
were in position to make the playoffs.
here's the other thing too. Even if the Jets had 10 wins or
Right.
9 wins, something like that, like they're close to the playoffs. I did not see him coming back at all.
Right,
I
because
didn't.
in a scenario where the Jets are a 10-win team, in that scenario, that means Zach Wilson's playing well.
Yeah,
So at that point is it even worth it to just thrust in a new quarterback that may or may not be healthy and whatever. Also,
and
Aaron
Rod.
Rodgers used some very interesting wording every time he would talk about his injury. Because people would ask him, if you're cleared to play, he said, if I was 100% cleared to play, I'd go play. That doesn't mean that he's planning on playing. That doesn't
Mhm.
mean that he wants to play. He said, well, if I was 100% cleared, yeah, I'd play. We know you're not getting 100% cleared after an Achilles tear. I don't care what speed bridge you
Wasn't
could
gonna
put in there.
happen.
It wasn't going to happen. It was a way for these guys to stay motivated, I think, because it's like, oh well, if the defense keeps playing well, we win a few games, we can get Rodgers back, go win a Super Bowl still. And did not work. Rodgers would say, I'm gonna practice, I'm playing, and then now it's 3 to 4 weeks. Now it's what so I wasn't a huge fan of just this being a possibility in the first place. Him playing linebacker at practice is an interesting scenario. He looks fine. The videos we've seen of him, he looks good. He looks like he can go out there, drop back, and sling it. But he really should not be playing anyway because you don't want to risk a re-tear and all the investment. He did say you can see a few more years of him playing. We'll see. But Joel, for Aaron Rodgers, I just did not. No one saw him come back.
No one saw him coming back, and
Yeah.
I didn't buy it for 1 second. I'll be honest. Like there was this like narrative that like maybe he can like be the hero that New York needed, and they go like a whole fairy tale ending and go on to win the Super Bowl. You got to keep in mind this team that in order for that to happen, Zach Wilson had to be good enough to get them in position for the playoffs.
Right.
How did that work out, man? Like
Did not.
how's that?
Did not.
I mean, and you look at this team as a whole. I don't care if Aaron Rodgers was under center. I don't care who it was. If like everybody's completely healthy, 30-0.
Yeah.
30-0. I'm sorry, but Aaron Rodgers, I don't think was fixing that. Really, I don't think he was.
No.
I some of these bad losses that the Jets have had were incredibly bad to the point where it's like, listen, maybe this team is just not as ready as we thought we were.
Not at
As
all.
we thought they were. You know what I mean? Like I didn't look at this team at any point in the year and was like, man, if Aaron Rodgers was here, this is a Super Bowl team. I didn't see it. Like, what were we looking at necessarily? Alan Lazard? We're looking at Randall Cobb. We're looking at I mean, Brees Hall, like he's okay. Yeah, he's fine. I was looking for some generational back that was gonna be the future of New York. I didn't see that. Been okay.
Dalvin
I'm looking
Cook,
at
where are
what
you?
Dalvin Cook, where oh my god, that all that hype for what? I
Yeah.
mean, CJ Uzama, like a former like Super Bowl tight end who was claiming himself to be like a top 5 tight end. Where's he been? I haven't seen him all year. Garrett Wilson is great. I'm not gonna diss Garrett Wilson. He's on my fantasy
Can't
team.
do
I'm
it.
not gonna diss him. That's
Can't
my
do it.
guy right there. But and this defense itself, like they're good. Yeah, they're okay. In the beginning of the year, didn't DJ Reed compare this team to like the 85 Bears?
There was
Do you
thoughts,
remember
yeah.
that?
There was that was a thing. And
What? Come
no,
on. Like
No.
I think this team was like to wrap up the entire season for the New York Jets in one word, overhyped.
Yeah.
They were incredibly overhyped. Like you look at this team entirely, it's like, sure, they're good. If you want to make the argument that well they were just a quarterback away from being okay, yeah, okay, why not? But we weren't talking about this team like they're going to be a playoff team. We were talking about this team like they were going to the freaking Super Bowl.
Yes.
They're going to win the Super Bowl. This was in comparison to like, when Brady joined Tampa Bay. Like everyone thought like it's like he's bringing in the Avengers. And it's like, oh my God, like we're gonna go and we're gonna win a Super Bowl. It's gonna be great. Oh my God, Aaron Rodgers, like you better be finding some more troops for your side, man, because I don't see it in here. I don't like. I see maybe a handful of guys who I would love to have on the team next year, and there are a lot of dudes on this Jets team. If they were not on the team next year, I don't think anybody would care.
Yeah.
I don't think
There's
anybody
a
would
lot of guys.
notice.
Well, okay. So here's my thought about this then. So let's go ahead and break it down. Let's go through some of their losses and see what would happen. 15-10 against the Patriots to open out the year. They lost. I think Aaron Rodgers wins that game.
Yeah,
I think so that puts them at 6 wins. They did lose to the Raiders 16-12. I think they win that one score game with Aaron
probably.
Rodgers under center. At home against the Chargers, they lost 27-6. I think that you win that game with Aaron Rodgers, so that we're giving them kind of 3 more wins here. They'd be a 9-win team. They beat Atlanta, so yeah, they're a 10-win team with Aaron Rodgers. And obviously, my Super Bowl expectations that I had are not coming true for the New York Jets. Oh, boo-hoo! But there's a few games. So there's still a lot of roster issue to look at when you have Aaron Rodgers and you still need some assistance. However, my thing about A-Rod is there were a lot of rough years in Green Bay as of especially recently. He needed to win that Detroit game last year, couldn't get it
But
done.
he
He's
at
40.
this point in his career, he cannot afford that.
He's 40 coming off an Achilles tear next year. So that's going to be really not good. He's not going to be a top 5 quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. He's not going to be healthy in terms of where he was a few years ago. He's not going to have the athletic ability. He's not going to have any of that. I'm sure the speed bridge is going to work just fine, but age is age, and you can't really run away from it. A lot of guys have tried to beat Father Time, but he keeps on ticking. So we'll see where Aaron Rodgers is next. I don't know. Where do you go from here? Because now you don't have a second-round pick. You don't really have the mobility to build this team, to change this team. What are the Jets going to do? So, Joel, would you agree that the Jets need a change in head coach and offensive coordinator, or maybe even GM?
Ooh, well, first of all, I can't see how Nathaniel Hackett gets another year. Let's get that out of the way.
Why not? He's Rodgers' guy.
Your guy just cost us. Do you see what your guy has done to
No,
this poor man, Zach Wilson?
I know. But who has more leverage right now in the Jets organization? Woody Johnson, Aaron Rodgers, Nathaniel Hackett, or Robert Saleh? I think Rodgers has more leverage than those 4 guys.
I don't disagree with you, but also I feel like there is some decisions that is just not Aaron's choice.
Oh, they shouldn't be. But this is the Jets.
But like I'm saying, let's say, like what we were saying before, let's say the Jets actually had a few more wins under their belt and like, they could potentially make a playoff run. If I'm Joe Douglas, if I'm the owner, if I'm the whatever, I'm looking at Aaron Rodgers saying, listen, we cannot afford for you to get hurt.
Right.
You can't do it. I don't care. You can complain, you can moan, you can do whatever you want. I'm not playing you. If you want to throw a tantrum, go ahead, yell and scream, post decrypted quotes on your social media page, whatever.
Yep.
I don't care. I'm sorry, but right now you are, and as far as the contract goes, you're bind to us. Okay.
Right.
If you want to go off next year, go off next year. Take it out on other teams. Okay. If you're mad because you wanted to do this, you wanted all this, whatever, go get mad on other teams next year. We could win a Super Bowl next year and have something to show for it. Right. For now, I'm telling you right now, you could walk a mile straight, do heel to toes, whatever. I don't care. On national television, everybody saw what happened to you. And for us to put you back out there would be one of the worst decisions we have ever made. And we have had a lot of terrible decisions. So I'm sorry, but you're just not going to play. If you do not say that to Aaron Rodgers and show some sort of initiative to him, why wouldn't he walk all over this franchise? Why
Right.
wouldn't he do anything? Like, I'm gonna play with my friends. I want Randall Cobb here. I want this guy here. I want, Alan Lazard here. I want my coach. I want Nathaniel Hackett here. This is if I'm gonna be a part of this organization, this is gonna be my team. Okay, that's great, Aaron, but I want you to know if you're gonna be part of this organization, that patch that you're wearing, it doesn't say Aaron Rodgers. It says the New York Jets.
It's true. Now, here's the thing. I agree. And that's the way that organizations should be run. No player, no man should overtake who's really in charge in these situations. But if you had to sit here and guess what the Jets are going to do, right? Because
Oh,
I
if we're
think
talking
I
about
think
that,
it's I
like,
think it's clear that the Jets should clean house. Maybe not a GM, because I think Joe Douglas has made a lot of good decisions. But when it comes to Robert Saleh, when it comes to Nathaniel Hackett, I think it's fair to say that those guys have to go. You might not maybe agree with Saleh. I'm kind of getting at, but
yeah,
you would
I don't
say
know.
Hackett has got to go by for sure. I think
Well,
Saleh. I haven't seen enough. I've seen a lot too much from Saleh for me to say that you're going to be the head coach of the New York Jets to win a Super Bowl.
let me
I
put it
haven't
like
seen it.
this: if let's just, I mean, I highly disagree with moving on from Salah, but let's just
Okay,
say, for argument's sake, they move on from Salah. We get a notification tomorrow, Robert Salah's been fired. Whatever.
right, he's gone.
Who's the replacement here?
Exactly.
I'm not. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, you better not get some coordinator who's never been a head coach before. We're not doing that.
There's this
I'm not
Bill
getting those
guy who's
rookie.
got a lot of redemption to do with the New York Jets when it comes to being being the head coach of the team.
I'm not getting no like coordinator to be like some head coach, like some rookie head coach. We're not doing that here.
Right.
Now, let's say it's going to be a veteran head coach. The only head coach that I think could potentially be I mean, he hasn't been fired yet as this airing,
Yes.
but are you looking at, like, I'm just spitballing here, Ron Rivera? Are we
So
talking about a Brandon Staley?
if
Are we
Bill
talking
Belichick
about
call if Bill Belichick calls the Jets and says if you fire your coach, I'm coming.
are we talking about Bill Belichick? Like, that's what I
If
mean.
yeah, but I
Like,
mean, would you fire Robert Saleh for Bill Belichick to be the coach of the Jets?
does Bill Belichick want to even be here?
Let's say he does. I don't think it'd be a bad hire.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree. I'm sorry. I wouldn't
Yeah.
disagree with that.
I mean,
But,
he has a lot of he has a lot of redemption to do with the Jets. He was the guy that, said he was going to be the Jets head coach, had a whole thing, and then said, maybe not. So who
I
knows?
mean,
Can he do it
man,
again?
we may have just discovered something I don't think a lot of people have considered. I'm not
I haven't
gonna
seen a
lie to
lot of
you.
the talk. I haven't seen a lot of that
No,
talk.
I haven't either.
Well, because I don't think Jets fans want him because of what happened back in the day, and I don't think Bill. I don't think Bill would ever do it. But
Yeah, I don't think so either.
yeah, maybe a Ron Rivera. I don't think Ron would be a good coach over there either. Now, you never know. I don't think Rodgers in his potential last year would want a new head coach.
Not yeah, that's why I just don't see it.
I think the only guy that Rodgers would be okay with is Bill, and then maybe if Saleh would want to be a defensive coordinator for the Jets, and then whoever is the offensive coordinator, I don't know. Probably poach somebody from Kansas City. Maybe poach Kellen Moore. Whatever he wants to do.
Eric Bieniemy.
Eric Bieniemy. I don't think. Yeah, Eric Bieniemy probably has deserved a head coaching job again. The Jets are different because it's higher stakes. I think it's New York.
Yeah.
There's not a lot. They don't want to do a lot of experimenting with the 40-year-old. You want to know you want to know you're going to have success. You want to know you have a solid offense in place. You want to know Rodgers is going to be happy. I don't know how you do it besides keeping Robert Saleh and keeping Nathaniel Hackett to keep
I think
Rodgers happy. Not
if
Jets
you
fans, Rodgers.
if you wanted to make, because this is the only thing that I could possibly consider, is making Nathaniel Hackett just a quarterback's coach.
I think Hackett could get another coordinator job.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think so too, but it's just if Rodgers.
Loves him
Well,
so much.
also here's the thing that we haven't considered. Does Nathaniel Hackett want to be here?
I think he'll stay. I don't think he would stay until he gets fired.
Like would he stay because, oh, I want to stay with the Jets, or is it because I want to stay with Aaron Rodgers? If that's the case, then I don't really think he cares if he's the offensive coordinator or not. Like, why don't you be the quarterback's coach and we get in someone who could do, rifle play calls that we don't have to complain about every single week and wonder why you still have a job.
Oh, I got something stupid. Something
Okay.
awful. Let's get Lincoln Riley in here. Let's start that back up
Oh,
again. Let's get Lincoln Riley as the coach of the New York Jets. Things are not going well in Trojan land. Let's break that contract. Buy him out. Make him go to the Jets.
or Jim Harbaugh. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Jim
Jim
Harbaugh.
Harbaugh. Let's get Jim Harbaugh as a head coach, Lincoln Riley as the OC, and Robert Saleh as the defensive coordinator. How about that, New York?
Oh my,
We'll buy out that USC contract. No, that's not
be
happening.
so bad.
Not happening. Lincoln Riley's not going anywhere for another few years because the USC Trojans just have signed their life away, have signed their program away. Unfortunately for them, but that's besides the point. So these New York Jets next season. So do you see? I think it's so weird, right? Because in a post Rodgers world, which is coming, it's coming a
Mhm.
lot sooner than we probably think. I know Rodgers said, "Oh, I want to play a few more years," but I really think that next season is Rodgers' last, given his injuries, given everything. I think maybe he'll play one more after that, but I think it's his last. And I can see him. I don't know. They might even get rid of him if he wants to play again. You never know.
Nah, I think he probably will play another like 2 years. That's what I
Maybe
think. Because
two.
keep in mind for a minute. Now I understand he's going through recovery. I understand he's going through recovery, but he's not playing right now, if that
Right.
makes any sense at all.
Right. No, yes,
Like,
he's not taking hits right now. He's basically having a year off.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So
So
technically speaking, yes, he would be at home. He would be relaxed, or he's like, with the Jets, he's on at least on the sidelines. He's just standing there. He's not doing
yeah.
anything physically crazy. He's
Yeah.
just worrying about recovery right now, and it comfortable enough to the point where he's not even using any crutches or anything like that. He's
Yeah.
just walking.
He's practicing. He's running.
That's
He's doing
crazy, man.
it's nuts. No, it's very impressive the recovery he's had. I
Okay,
do.
let me ask you this: Do you
Yeah.
think that actually tore? Do you think that Achilles actually tore? Because I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
It had to have. It had to. I mean, you saw the video of his injury. I mean,
Oh
that thing.
yeah,
I mean,
and
there's no denying that thing popped. There's no denying that thing popped. There's no. Maybe it wasn't as great of a tear as some other players have had, but I think yes, we saw it with Cam Akers and the medical technology improved and all of that. I think Rodgers maybe fast tracked it a little bit too much, and he could be risking a re-tear. But in terms of just the Achilles working, yes, he tore it. He had to. They wouldn't lie about that. It'd be very illegal
yeah.
in terms of the NFL for them to lie and say it was just a really bad high ankle sprain instead of an actual tear of the Achilles. Maybe it was not as grand, but this was still an Achilles tear. He tore it. I don't think he would lie about that to
I
miss a
mean,
season and whatever.
I just think what we're witnessing right now with him is just an anomaly in itself, where I'm just looking at
It
him
is.
and it's like, I don't understand how you're walking right now. Forget playing football. I don't know how you're putting weight on that leg entirely.
Yeah.
If that was me or just any other normal person, I would be in bed for months, depressed, not wanting to go anywhere,
Yeah.
and just worrying about recovery because I just don't want this again. And not only is this man walking, he's practicing, he's with the team, he's traveling with them, he's not really at home as much as he should be, and
Right.
he's just trying to get back. Like
He's
he's lit
doing.
like I honestly think, if they had won a good amount of games and they had made a playoff push, would he have played? I don't know. But I think he's advocating very, very hard to get back on that field as soon as he possibly can,
Yeah.
regardless of what he think can happen to himself.
I have no doubt at all that if Rodgers was 100% healthy, he's absolutely cleared to play. He's all good. Maybe yes, there's a risk of a re-tear, whatever you want to put over that. But if he could play, and the doctor says, Aaron, you can play, he's playing. And if the coaches would let him play, he's playing, and he's going to fight to play, and he would play. I think he would play. I don't think it'd be a good idea, but he would play. That's the way I viewed it for these New York Jets and for Aaron Rodgers. But I just don't know if I see it getting better, even when Rodgers comes back, even when he's fully healthy, even when he's there. Because you take a look at the roster and who's around them, and maybe they'll have a great offseason and whatnot. But I really wonder when you look at all the other coaches in the NFL, the Jets have to compete in the AFC. How many of them are not out coaching Robert Saleh when you play in a playoff game? Andy Reid's out coaching him. Mike McDaniel's going to out coach him. He's getting out coached in most matchups. I think even Kevin Stefanski out coaches him.
Robert
Harbaugh,
Saleh, Robert Saleh is just one of those guys where I don't think it's I do not think it is as extreme as the Brandon Staley case.
no, I'm
But
not saying that.
no, I know. It's just I'm saying when I look at him as a defensive coordinator, arguably one of the best, probably the best defensive
Yeah,
coordinator in the entire league.
that's
Nobody
why he
would
got a
question
job.
that. No, nobody would deny that. Anything like you look at that 49er system, yeah, they had some good players. He was making stars over there in
Yes.
San Francisco. Guys you never even heard of were playing out of their mind when they were coached by Robert Saleh. Now, he's just one of those guys where, yeah, he's great there as a head coach. I'm not ready to say like he's bad. I still think he's figuring it out. I still think he's one of those guys where it's like, okay, you put yourself in this position. You didn't know Aaron Rodgers was not gonna be the guy, at least for this year. You didn't know that Zach Wilson was just not gonna really show any improvement at all. You
Yeah.
didn't know that some of these wide receivers were not exactly as good as you thought they were. You didn't know that this defense was probably not gonna be as great as you thought it was. It's an unpredictable situation for Robert Saleh. And that's why it's like I don't think he would get fired. If he got fired, I just like at this point I would feel more bad for him than I would feel bad for the Jets.
Here's what I look at, though, right? And you kind of go, and a lot of people have kind of gone this route as well. You go, oh, well, he didn't have his quarterback. He had to deal with injuries. He had to deal with issues. I look at the Colts and their situation. I look at Cleveland and how they've been able to keep it together. I look at Cincinnati and how they've been able to keep it together. I look at the Denver Broncos coming back from 1-5 record. I look at the Raiders being 6-8 somehow, and all these other situations where teams have lost their quarterback, where teams have, Brian Dable was able to bring the Giants back with Tommy DeVito. Let's be honest about who he is, and a lot of coaches. I mean, Kevin O'Connell keeping this Vikings teams afloat. The list goes on, and how coaches have been able to keep their teams successful and in playoff positions. And Robert Saleh hasn't been able to kind of join that group and be one of those coaches that keeps the team afloat. And this roster isn't bad. They have good players. We were saying they're going to win the Super Bowl. But
But
that's
you know
where I
why
kind
I
of go
feel
with it.
you know why I feel like that might be the case? It's mainly because I feel like this is another thing that's kind of been under the radar for a little bit. The expectations for the Jets were so incredibly high over the Broncos, the Raiders, what any of those teams, right? Hard Knocks. Look at they were the Hard Knocks team
They
this
were,
year.
yes.
This team was, in the preseason, we were hyping them up like crazy, looking at Aaron Rodgers saying like, "Oh my God, he's looking really good in practice. Oh my God, have you seen like they just signed Dalvin Cook? Oh my
Yeah.
God, he's really good. Oh my God, look at Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson. He has Aaron Rodgers now. He's gonna get like 1,500 yards. He's gonna be amazing. He's gonna be great." And once it just even like obviously the biggest crack that could happen, which was Aaron Rodgers like being out for the year. Once that happened, if I'm on this team and you see that happen, what are we talking? The season's over.
Yeah,
The
it's done.
season's over. It's done. Unless Zach Wilson just becomes like, you know, a freaking heir to Joe Namath or something, where it's like he's gonna be like one of the Jets heroes. Was never gonna happen. It wasn't going to happen, and it's not gonna happen.
No, no. I think it's also important to look at Saleh's, the way he treated the Zach Wilson situation, right?
That's okay. Yeah, I'll give you that. That was
Yeah.
bad.
I mean,
That wasn't a good look.
the fact that the Jets didn't go out and sign a veteran quarterback was, I know I was saying that it was a bad, I was saying that the Jets shouldn't go get a veteran. The Jets should stick with Zach Wilson. But I'm not in the building every day. I don't watch Zach Wilson play. You evaluate guys especially if you're the head coach of a football team. So I think I kind of looking back on it, I disagree with it. Obviously, hindsight's 2020 with all these things. When it comes to head coaching in the NFL, I think you should know. You should know what you have. So I don't. I'm not going to sit here and advocate for the guy's job the whole time. I think it's worth evaluating, right? Because especially with the way that he said he loves Zach Wilson and all that stuff, the fact that there's so much quarterback drama, there isn't this quarterback drama in when Cleveland was going through it, right? And I think a lot of that is coaching, a lot of that's also New York. But when it comes to coaching in New York, you got to be able to handle that stuff. And I don't think I think Saleh would succeed in anywhere but New York. I think New York gets to him a lot.
Like you look at that quarterback, situation that you were talking about. It's like, wouldn't you have wanted to have kept, Joe Flacco? Wouldn't you have wanted to have, maybe just be in the hunt for Joshua Dobbs? Now, I understand, Joshua Dobbs is going, he's not doing so great right now. But
right,
you look at those runs that these guys have and are having, they're way better than Zach Wilson ever was this year.
They're in playoff contention.
They're playoff contenders. Like, you're looking at these teams. Like, I look at Cleveland. Not only do I think that they could, I know I'm ranting, but like with Joe Flacco here, I think not only do I think that they could make the playoff, I think they could win a playoff game.
Yeah.
The Jets could have been in that situation, but it's always, well, we don't want to hurt Aaron Rodgers' feelings. I don't want you to think that we're moving on from you. We're not. We want to keep you happy. I'm very sorry. But yada yada. It's like, oh my God, do what's best for the team. Don't do what's best for Aaron. Aaron's gonna be fine. Aaron's coming back next year. If you sign Joshua Dobbs or a Joe Flacco to like a 1-year deal, do you really think Aaron Rodgers is gonna care all that much? What is he gonna do this year?
Yeah, nothing.
What's he gonna do this year?
Nothing. He's not gonna leave. He's on a contract.
Yeah,
he's not. You're not gonna buy him out. He's gonna play. One way or another, he's going to play. And yeah, it just doesn't work. I don't know. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work that way. They could have been an 8-win team without Rodgers. And all the teams that are in the playoffs in that bubble, they're 8 or 9-win teams. That's all you got to do. Obviously, tough AFC, but I think that they win. Let's say they get a veteran quarterback. Let's say they get Josh Dobbs. They can be in the hunt. If the goal is to win this year, I think this team saw Rodgers go down and said, "All right, it's done. We're not winning a game this. We're not winning this year." There wasn't anybody around them that said, "No, we're still good. We still have a chance." There was such a, "Oh, we're screwed" attitude to it, which, yes, they were. But that's not how you do football. You always have a chance, especially week 1. You won the game, and it was doom and gloom. I don't know. I think I think a lot of that's coaching, and I think it's a good lesson for Saleh to not give in to the New York media and all that. I just wasn't a fan of it in terms of me trusting him as a head coach of a Rodgers-led team. That's where I was at. But Joel, poor Jets, poor Eagles, poor Chargers. Anything else left to add?
The future is not looking so great for a lot of these teams. Is all I gotta say.
A lot of these teams not looking great at all. Not at all. Baltimore, though, they're looking pretty good. Niners looking pretty good. That's my Super Bowl matchup. We'll see if it happens. Joel, as always, a pleasure. Thank you for coming on. This has been Break Panel Sports. I've been John, joined alongside Joel. If you're a Jets fan, my thoughts go out to you. We'll see you another time.
Bye-bye.